Good morning everybody and welcome to today's vlog. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of the whole of the perimeter track at RAF Lindholme. It dawned on me a couple of days ago that as much as I record here all the time, I've never actually brought you on a journey around all of the perimeter to show you where everything is. Now, it is owned by HMP Lindholme. Big home office sign that says do not enter. I did get permission, and I have got permission in writing, well on email actually, from HMP Lindholme saying that I can walk here, and I did get that. In 2018 when I first started coming here, when I first started coming here for research purposes anyway, the story of me actually coming here starts quite a bit before that, which I'll get into in a minute. But let me just show you, this is the main drag. So in that direction we have Hatfield Woodhouse, and if I do a 180, that is now the gasworks, and just a few degrees over there are the old hangars and the watchtower of RAF Lindholme. I don't know why I always walk in this direction. It's almost like if I go clockwise sooner than anti-clockwise, bad things are going to happen. Also, to let you know, they have just chopped the hedges down, so there is every chance I'm going to fall over. So just to let you know as well, I'm going to try and do this in one continuous video, but I am going to pause it at places to show you some photographs. I'm going to intersperse today's vlog with some photographs. One of how RAF Lindholme looks now with the ghost runways, and then the other picture is how it used to look during World War II, which everybody by now must realise is my specialist subject by default. I never found it, it found me. So let me get into a little bit of history about me and this place and what happened. And I've chosen today to do this because today is super special. Obviously we are in a district of Doncaster. I am from Doncaster, even though I have lived all over the world because my stepdad was RAF, which I'm very grateful for. But I'm not from around here. I'm from the exact other side. But I moved to Hatfield Woodhouse 16 years ago today. Today is the 31st of January, and 16 years ago I bought my first home, and I'm still there. Now, anybody that has been a RAF brat will fully appreciate owning your own home and not moving every 6 months. As great as the RAF is, my real dad, my biological father, is a farmer, and I grew up for the first 10 years of my life living on a farm in one house, never moving. So to go from the stability of a farm to an RAF lifestyle, yeah, that was quite the experience. Just to let you know, I had one home between the ages of 0 and 10. Actually no, I had 3, but the others were when I was tiny, so I can't remember the moves at all. But then by the time I bought my house 16 years ago today, I'd physically moved all of my belongings from one house to another house 28 times. And I said to myself when I bought my house, that's it, until the perfect log cabin appears with log burner and land for my horses right at the side, or my log cabin right in the middle. That is the last time I move, and I absolutely stand by that. I am not moving. I've done far too much of that already. So 16 years ago today I came to this area. I do have an RAF background. That has obviously curtailed my interest in this, and I'm really into all history Again, I have lots of serving members of the family that span back all generations. I can go all the way back to the Boer War. We lost my grandma's brother in the First World War. My granddad was in the Second World War. My brother was in Iraq, and I was with my stepdad out in Kuwait post Iraq War. So my whole family have done the rounds when it comes to the services. So I am 100% respectful. If I ever come across as disrespectful, it is completely by accident, because I put the respect of all currently serving and former serving personnel before anything else. They are truly heroes. So we are now at the very tip. I'm talking and forgetting to point out the bits. Right, this bit here, which I will show you on the map now, I will stand still. This bit here is the very end of what would have been the long runway. And the long runway goes out here. This is the first time I will show the two maps together. The new map of how it looks now with the shadow runway coming all the way through, and also how it looked in World War II. And you can see all of what I call the eyes on stalks, which are the plain hard standings as well. So that is the first point of reference. Recently I've been learning all about the caravans that they used to have, and again, me being blonde, oh, you have an airport caravan. I just assumed it'd be like a four-berth. I didn't realise it would actually be a vehicle that would be parked up at the end of the runway, or near the end of the runway, which was like a mobile flight control area. And this hard standing over here is where that caravan would have been. Now, there's not much left of the original RAF Lindholme, not much at all, but it is nice to see that there are some bits. I originally thought that this was part of the end of the runway, but it's not. That is just there, as you can tell from the thing that is just over there. And it went straight out to the trees on that tree line. Perfect. So now I'm going to turn the camera a little bit over there where you can see some more trees. Over there in those trees is the ROC bunker. I'm not going to get into the ROC bunker. It is privately owned. If you go on my playlist, RAF Lindholme, there is a video on there. When I went in there, and I have been in the bunker, I believed I was given permission from the person who owned it. Turned out it was just a bit of a local crazy who had no right at all to give me permission to be in there. So in the end I did go on land registry, because I do work in property. So I went on land registry, found the owner, contacted them, apologised profusely for going somewhere where I didn't have permission. I would never normally do that. And I did explain to them what had happened, and so that's why the video did go out in the end. But again, huge apologies. It's also been really heavily vandalised since the lady who owns it now bought it, which is truly shocking. One of the things I feel like I ought to say, I have now been studying RAF Lindholme for quite a few years, nearly 7 years. I've recently come across the ORBs, and they tend to start with the weather. Okay, it's an airfield. I guess the weather is really important. So let me say today it's 4 degrees. It feels a lot colder than 4 degrees, but it's not. It is genuinely 4 degrees. And there's no wind anywhere. But I say that there's no wind anywhere. We are still quite covered by the trees. When we get around this next corner, it's almost guaranteed that it can blow your socks off, because every time I come out here, they just seem to be the worst, because especially when I'm recording, as soon as I get the camera out, that's it all goes to pot. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to head mount the GoPro, and you can come with me while I go on a walk. And the next corner that I'm going to go to is one of the crash sites that I've already done a video about. So I'm going to put this on fast forward and I'm going to walk the perimeter track until I get to the Halifax crash corner. So I will see you there. So I've just had to finish recording, which is something that I didn't want to do. I wanted to do like a one time only record all the way around, but I've only missed about 50 metres, I'd say, and I've bumped into a couple who live just down the road at one of the farms, and I've stopped because obviously people think I'm a bit weird walking around with a camera, and I've had a chat to them, and they've lived here for 20 years. And they've told me that they live at the opposite side of the A614, and during their 20 years, because they own dogs, they've walked around here every single day. Now get this, even though they have never seen the ghost of the airman themselves, they say that they've had at least 8 people that have come to visit them that have said that they've seen the ghost of somebody at the side of the road, and when they've approached or got closer to where their house is, this person has completely disappeared. And they say that's happened at least 8 times in 20 years. So they say around here, around the airfield and the aerodrome, no ghosts, no sightings, nobody's ever reported anything to them. On the A614, it's as if there's a gentleman in a flight suit just stood waiting. I don't know what the poor gentleman's waiting for. Has anybody else heard that rumour? Has anybody else heard of the spectre of an airman just stood at the road? I guess back in the day during the war, would that have been a bus stop maybe? Or a transport pickup stop for the RAF? I've got no idea. Anyway, I'll turn the camera around again and off we go on our walk. So back to the perimeter track. And so here we are at the next point of interest, and something that I will point out as well, because these are scattered all over the airfield, is blocks of concrete and concrete fencing. Gosh, if you ever know anything about RAF bases, it's that they do concrete really well. So this is the end of the return runway. So if I do 180 degrees over here, over there behind me, that is the flight control tower on that corner of trees over there. I did a video here a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago, no, 2 weeks ago now, and that was LL226, the Halifax bomber, the story of it taking off from Santoft, getting into difficulty, the ground crew here at RAF Lindholme flagging it in. It unfortunately missed the runway, took off straight down here, hit a bomb store at the bottom of the road, crashed across the A614, where it unfortunately killed not only a cyclist that was ground crew here at RAF Lindholme, but also the civilian inhabitants of the bungalow across the road, Mr. and Mrs. Wraith. So this is always a point of significance for me, because people died here. and awful. I know it was war, and I know that people died all over the place here, but still so very tragic. And now we're coming up to what is more recent history, which is the Northern Radar, which is situated on the opposite side of the road from the A614, from where RAF Lindholme is. I'll now do both the pictures again for you to be able to see where I am. So I'll do the new picture and then the old picture, and you can see all of the hard standings as well where the planes were. Just have a quick look across the road as well, because there was loads across the road where the Northern Radar is now, and actually the Northern Radar is sited on top of one. So where the radar is now used to be an eye on a stalk, as I call it, for a plane, which would have been, at one time or other, the Wellington bombers and the Halifaxes and the planes that I've been studying here. So there we go, you can just see it through the trees there. Now I've seen photographs of this, and I will get a more recent photograph as well, but that building used to be pure white, which again I don't know why. If anybody knows why, please do let me know. But in its decay, it's actually a better form of khaki than probably any khaki the RAF can come up with. If you look at the top, it's got rails around the very perimeter, and then to the left hand side of that is a plinth, which is where the radar would have been situated. It seems to be based on a ground floor level, a first floor level, then a second floor level, and then a rooftop. So, you know, quite the sizable piece of history there at the other side of the road. Now, why this is important to me, I mentioned that my stepdad was RAF. After he passed, and this is something that I didn't know about him at all, I got his service records, and his very first posting in 1978, which is the year that I was born, but his very first posting was here at RAF Lindholme. Had I known that, and had I been able to talk to him now, why do you always learn these things after the fact? And because he spent most of his military career at the Ministry of Defence down in Whitehall, he had a really strict code of conduct about not talking about his military career or where he went. Completely understandable, but I'm also a historian and I'm nosy, and I would have liked to have known that information. So just from here, that is about the best view I'm going to get of Northern Radar. Right, on with our journey around the perimeter track. I'll stop at the next corner next to the A614, not because there's any historical reference with that, but just so that you can see the difference now that it's a HMP Lindholme sooner than RAF Lindholme. So I'll walk down this straight bit now, and I'll see you at the end. I will now pinpoint on a map again this corner next to the A614 and next to the now HMP Lindholme, because you couldn't get two more different aspects of what things looked like as opposed to what things look like now. So I'll put those videos up now. And then on with the journey. This is where we leave the track. Not that we're leaving it on purpose. It just runs out here until we meet up with it again in front of the tower. Now I'm just going to point the camera forwards again, and then after a few seconds I'm going to show you a photograph that was taken exactly here. We are now directly in line with the front of the watchtower, and this photograph was taken, I'd estimate, in the late 70s, maybe early 80s. So I'll turn the camera around so you get an idea of what it looks like now, and then I'll show you the photograph of what it used to look like. As you can see, that was some form of ploughing match, I would guess. You can see in the background the horse trailers, and you can see in the foreground the gentleman watching with the vintage tractors. That wouldn't have been that vintage back then. They would have only have been 20-30 years old. So that really tells you how much the landscape around here has changed so much. Now, during the time of war, in World War II, again, I will ping exactly where this track is. I'm about halfway down it now, so I'll pinpoint where I am, and then I'll show you with the two photographs again, side by side, how it looks now and how it looked during the war. And here we go, we're at the flight tower. So the flight tower here, wait for this car to go past, is originally 1938, 1939. If you look down here behind me, that is through the trees where the parade came through. When we were looking at the old Seapec photographs, and then the parade ring comes all the way up here. I'll turn the camera so you can see as much as possible. It is in an absolutely shocking state. I say it every time I come here. If I can get a little bit closer in, every window smashed. The tower at the top is completely smashed. It's covered in graffiti. I've asked many times, I've contacted the governor of the prison, I have contacted everybody I can think of. I've even tried to get a protection order on the building to try and save it, because if it carries on in such a state, there really isn't going to be much left, which is absolutely devastating. Now, I don't record anywhere apart from here because this isn't actually part of the prison. It's owned by the prison, but it isn't part of the actual prison. The prisons are further away behind the actual prison walls, which these are not. I'd never record where the actual prisons are. But here is the watchtower and the hangars. So there's two over there in the background, the middle one there, and then there's two over there with one quite close to the moors, which I believe, if history serves me right, the hangar closest to the moor is called hangar number 5, and that one is the one where most of the ghostly activity is seen. Don't quote me on that, that is just what I've heard. I haven't seen anything myself out here. So yes, these are the old parade grounds where Seapec would have come. And General Sikorski, the big Polish general at the time, came and presented all of the brave men of 304 and 305 Squadron with their medals. So yeah, it's absolutely rammed packed full of history. and now looks like it's just a dumping ground for the prison. Right, I will head mount you again and we will go off, but just before I do that I will let you see the difference here between now and also the World War II picture as well. There we go. We're at the final corner now before going back to the car, and I believe this is where the new track meets the old track, just here. If you look down there, the old perimeter track seems to have once gone straight through where the Scottish Gasworks are now. So again, I'll do a 180 so you can see. There we go, so that goes all the way down there, and then if I go back again that way, that is where the old perimeter track was, and I will join that up now with the new and the old photographs. Sorry, I had to stop recording then again. It's so busy today. As soon as the camera comes out, everybody comes out. Yeah, so 2011 I bought my first horse. I lived in Hatfield Woodhouse at the time, and then in 2012 I moved the horse over to the same village as where I lived, and I can remember coming with the yard owner at the time, and she brought me here, and I can remember coming in through the gates where I parked, the gates that say no admittance, and I can remember saying, "This is military land, this belongs to the prison." And then I saw the track and I was like, "Is this ex-RAF?" And she went, "Yeah, that's why they call it the aerodrome." I was like, "Well, nobody told me where we were going, so I didn't even know it was called an aerodrome." So I've been visiting this place regularly for 6 years before I even knew any of the history about the gentleman that served here and the importance in our history that this place actually has. And that's why I want to protect it, even if it just means recording it and preserving it as it is now for history, because they clearly don't want people on, but the stories here really do need to be told. Thank you so much for watching. We upload every Thursday and every Saturday when I can, when it comes to RAF Lindholme and all of the research here. Your support to this channel means the absolute world to me, so please hit the like button for this video. Do go to the playlist of RAF Lindholme in Hatfield Moors. There's plenty more videos on there to tell you all about the history of this place. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. The more people that we get coming to this channel, the more the channel will help us evolve and get out there. And also, when I get stopped by people saying, "What are you doing?" if I'm able to show them a semi-successful YouTube channel, it helps in all the world of people leaving me alone when I walk around places like this with a camcorder. So thank you so much everybody who already supports us, and if you don't, please do, please hit that subscribe button. And for now, take care. Bye bye. Did you like that vlog today?
Yeah.
And what do you do now?
Hit that like button, subscribe button. We're out.